Hi there, BookTube! My name is Christina and today I'm here with a wrap-up. As I promised, I'm doing it immediately after filming my middle grade March video wrap-up, and I decided to make actually a review for this book today so that I'm still kind of fresh with the memories about this book. And I'm speaking about the second book in a trilogy that then became a series, and it's The School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes by Soman Chainani, I guess. And the reason why I'm filming this one, I don't think that I filmed a review for the first book, I don't remember actually, but the reason I decided to film this one is because I had so many thoughts and I was so disappointed in that book that I decided to share my thoughts actually. And this one will be a spoilery video because I want to go in deep. So watch it if you've already read this book, or if you know that you won't read it anytime soon or you're not interested in it, then go. Or if you're not afraid of spoilers and you still enjoy a book, go with it again. And let me get to this disaster. First of all, the problem is not with the way it is written, so it's not in the language used by the author, it's not in the way the dialogues are written, it's not about it. I have issues with the characters, with the main theme, with how the story was developing, so those are the aspects that really drove me off. And here I too will make the same premise that I made in my middle grade March wrap-up. I read the first one like years ago, 2-3 years ago, not sure, so it wasn't fresh in my mind. I wasn't remembering kind of anything except for the general idea of what happened. So I started it, I had to take my time to get reacquainted with all of the characters in here. We start with Sophie and Agatha after they left the school and they're back to their hometown. Here we spent a bunch of time actually following their minor adventures, what happened to them after a year passed, and so at a certain point they're again whisked away to the magical world of the School for Good and Evil. And apparently it happens because of a wish. So apparently, at least Agatha thinks that it's because of her wish to get back and to meet again her prince, Theodoros, whatever. And since we are speaking about Agatha, let me get to the very first point, the characterization. So, Agatha is one of our main protagonists. When you read the book, you can definitely say that the author is kind of biased, and I believe that Sophie is his favorite by all means, but still, Agatha, the girl who ended up in good and who was this witty, sarcastic and strong-willed girl who went against all of the rules and everything that was set for her. She just wanted to break out and to be her own person. And suddenly here she becomes this plushy, fluffy, girly thingy with no character at all. She is not sarcastic, she is not witty, she is not capable of doing pretty much anything without the support of her friend. She spends so much time whining and just second-guessing herself, and I'm not telling that it's impossible, that it's not something that may happen, but if it happens all of a sudden and all of the other things that characterize her are like just pulled out of her, then she seems like a bad copy of herself. So at this point she's not like in a position to Sophie. They're not different anymore. Agatha is just like the typical princess that's there to be saved and to find her prince again. And here is where everything becomes very complicated. The book follows a repetitive kind of pattern each and every time we have the same doubts, we have the same reactions, we have the same fallouts, of course, and then we start again and again and again and again and again, and we go so for like 400, I don't remember how many pages is it. It's like, here we are, 400 and almost 50 pages of a repetitive pattern of the same kind of plot devices, and it really bores you. When you arrive at the end of it, you're so fed up with these characters and their doubts and their mistakes. They're always the same and they never ever learn. So what's the point? And in asking myself this, I ask, what's the point of the plot of at this point? Because if we're having characters who are like whisked away to this school, and when they arrive they discover that everything has changed, and it's not a school for good and evil anymore, it's a school for boys and girls now, because there has to be this dichotomy of two elements opposing each other apparently. Okay, I get it, that can make sense, but then at the end of the story we arrive at a point where everything gets like rewinded back again. So at the end we have some characters sent back to the real world and we just restart again for the third time. Really? Really, what sense there is of doing it again and again and again? So yeah, let me delve a little bit deeper. We're having two girls and then a boy, of course, the world without princes. And the boy is the love interest of Agatha, and Sophie too was in love with him for a certain period of time, let's say. And he is now like the leader of the boys, and the two girls become the leaders of the girls, let's say. And he is just insufferable. He is such a bad male character. He is childish. He is selfish, over proud with himself to a point where he's really insufferable, and moreover he's voluble, meaning that he changes his mind every 5 to 10 minutes, and at the end of it he becomes dangerous for all of the people around him, but mostly for his so-called one and only love. And I'm not okay with it. So let's remember that this book has characters that are 12 years old, and they are speaking about their true love. Okay, I may accept it if we're considering that in this fairy tale world we're thinking about the fairy tales that we used to read, and actually in those fairy tales young people were young people as they were considered in those times. So you're young while you're 12 years old, you're a young woman when you are 14, and you're a full woman when you are 18, and at 20 you're pretty much an old hag. Okay, I get it, I may accept it kinda, but not if we're speaking about one true love, and this age thing is never really addressed properly, so I may suspend my disbelief, but not when it becomes kinda hurtful. Because if we consider that this is a book that young children may read, middle grade children may read, it's actually horrible to tell them that they will meet their one and true love at the age of 12, and that they need to do whatever to keep it and get it and cling it in a fist and just keep it to yourself so that nobody else will ever see them or touch them or speak to them. Can you see where is the problem? We already have enough problem in our society with violent kind of ways to show affection, because people are not used to be kind and gentle and to actually develop empathy. And this is not okay. Plus, my problem with the Prince Charming in this story is that the general message that it gives is that you can only be loved by your prince if you're exactly as he wishes you to be. So not only you have to be like perfect from the beginning, so you have to be beautiful and just gentle and kind and perfect in his eyes, But then when he picks you, in order for you to be his real love forever, you have to tick all of his boxes, because he has a pretty clear idea of what he wants, and you need to stick to that, because otherwise you're a cheater, a betrayer, and he will try to actually kill you because you're not as he expected, and he feels threatened by your personality and your choices. Again, can't you see that this is a little bit wrong right now? Yeah, I can. Personally, I can. And in this moment of time where we're trying to do so much to change these messages, not a good message to pass on. And let me get, I'm not still at the core point of this book. I am getting to it. You can see how heated up I am about it, because and yeah, the main focus of this book and the main theme of this book is actually the opposition of genders. Because as I told you before, once the girls went back to the real world because they kissed each other, and pretty much Agatha chose Sophie over the prince, so she chose friendship over love, the school went to, I don't know, like it was a mayhem, and at the end of it all, it was not a school for good and evil and a school for boys and girls. So we have gender opposition, which means that the school for girls becomes this place where they're taught to be like strong, independent women, and up till now, great message, that have to kill and threaten and imprison and destroy every single man out there because they are a threat to their power. And it's exactly the problem that we're having right now. When someone tells that he or she is a feminist, he or she usually is screamed over because people believe that feminist means that you want every man killed. And it's not like that. This is not the definition of feminism. And so, that's a problem. While on the other side, we're having boys who have been pushed outside of their kingdoms, and they've been left behind by these empowered women, and for whatever reason they weren't able to create a dialogue, they just escaped, keeping in mind that their enemy is the fact that girls can create bonds and like a net of support with each other, and so they have to destroy it so that they may show that they still have power, because they feel threatened by the fact that women can be empowered too. And again, don't you see a problem since we're in 2020 with this kind of message? That's exactly the core point of what we're now trying to change, to make women feel empowered and to make men feel accepted. Women may be strong and men may be sentimental. There is nothing wrong with it. And it's not a war among genders. No, between. It's not a war between genders. So this is so harmful. This kind of message going on is so bad. Moreover, if you consider that it's a book that will be read by young people. And usually young people, they're very clever, but they miss the amount of experience that you as an adult have. So when they read something like that, they actually may consider the idea that maybe if their beloved characters act like that, then it's normal to act like that. And it's not. And unfortunately, the fact that it's not is not well addressed in this book. Because if there were a character who had like a great morality that at certain point told everyone, this is nuts and this is not how you should deal with this situation, then it would have been probably a little bit different. But each and every character in this book is so much into the situation and is so much biased that at the end you don't have a clear vision of what the author is trying to tell you. I hope that of course the author was trying to tell that this is wrong and this is not how the things should have gone. But it's never told in a clear way, and that's a problem. And now let me get to some kind of minor, they are not minor, they're still important points, but just things that are addressed in the book here and there. So one, I already told you, the idea that there is just one and only love in your life, and this is it. Understand that we're speaking about fairy tales, and in fairy tales usually this is how things go. But being it a modern book, I believe that we can do better, and we can consider the idea that actually there can be more than just one love. And the one person you met first, it's not written in the stone that it's your one and true love. Second is that at a certain point of this book, this story gives you the idea that love is for grown-ups and friendship is for children. So when you grow up, friendship is not enough and you need to level up and to love someone so that you will be a grown-up. This is not how life works. Friendship and love are not like the level up one or the other. You can be a perfectly functional adult and not being in love with someone, but only have deepest and amazing friendships. It's so wrong. This book rubbed me in a wrong way in so many ways. And it's a wrong message to tell someone that at the beginning you have friendship and you're okay like that, but then love comes in and the friendship is not necessary anymore. This is one of the things that we realize while we grow up, and it's that actually when you have your first boyfriend or your second, your third, and you're a girl with a lot of friends and suddenly you forget everyone just for that special boy, or the boy just that special girl, or a boy with a boy and a girl with a girl, and you forget your friends, at the end life usually makes you understand that you cannot live with just one person. You need your support, you need your friends. They are important in your life, and you understand that it's not like that. So to put in a book written that actually love is if you're growing up and friendship is just if you're still a child, I cannot agree with it. I promise you, I'm almost there. I just have 3 more points. It will be a long video, sorry, but I really had a lot to say. So the final message of this book, I hated it, and it's that at the end of the day, love beats friendship, and so you cannot have both. Apparently it's impossible for you to be in a relationship and have friends, or one or the other. I already addressed it before. It's not how it works in real life. I mean, no, you can have friends and you can have a great love of your life and they live together because you're a functional human being. You're not like a robot that has like 0 or 1, so it's one or the other. No, it's not how it works. And love is not above friendship. They're different feelings. It's not better. It's just different. I don't know, it's like telling that fire is better than water. No, we need both to live, and they like are on a completely different level. That's the same thing. I don't get it. Oh, and then the villain in this story. The villain was amazing. The villain in this story is one of those that we may consider as the reason why the word feminist is so wrongly used, and it's because the word feminist was used by women who actively hated men, and we have here a bad feminist, let's call her like that, and she does everything to show that she's in power, that men are garbage, that we don't need them, and she teaches it to everyone in her school because she's the dean of the school for girls. But at the end of it all, you just discover that she's apparently a bitter loser, and she made everything she did for the love of a man. So actually, whatever you've done before was for a man. What? What's the point? What's the sense in it? I don't get it. So yeah, okay, I'm trying to calm down here. Sorry, I get too passionate about it. But at the end of the day, I believe that when you're writing a book, you have to be very careful with the message that you pass on. And when you're writing a middle grade book or a children's book, you have to be like twice careful, because this book will be read by someone who has not a definite and already predetermined pattern of behavior and of ways of detecting good and bad, right from wrong. They are still learning, which is amazing because it means that they are able to expand the ability of understanding to a pretty much endless level, and that's, I don't know how, it's just marvelous. But if you teach them something, then you really need to put it down, written somewhere, that the facts that are happening in your story are wrong. Because while I was reading, I was able to pinpoint all of the moments in which I was not okay with the thing. But what I know from my personal experience is that when I read some books when I was little, I wasn't able to see some things. And when I read them when I was older, I reread them, and I was like, wow, I really enjoyed this thing, but it was not okay. And this is one of it. I don't know, with the third book, suddenly we'll flip everything and we'll explain that this is, I don't know how to define it, but I think that still you have to put something in the second book to make people understand that you do not agree with this. And I'm sure that the author doesn't agree with this. I'm more than sure. But if you write it that way, it just comes off wrong completely. And I'm sorry if it's your favorite book. I don't want to trash it down. It's just my personal opinion because, as you may see, it just touches some topics that are very important for me. And it's a thing with which I've struggled back in my teenage years and in my early 20s, because it's important to convey the right messages. And when you're writing a book, you're able to convey a message to so many people, so many, that you have to be sure that you're writing the exact way you're portraying the things that you want to convey to people. So that's probably my wrap-up of this book, because I've spoken for, I don't know, like 20-something minutes. It's probably the longest that I have here on my channel as a review of the book. But yeah, I really wanted to share my thoughts with you about it. Again, I hope it's not your favorite book ever. If it is, then please let me know down below the things that you loved about this book, because there were some positive things. Like, for example, the fact that the characters were morally grey is very interesting. Or the fact that at the end of the day you need to trust your gut and stuff like that. There are some positive points. This is a video mainly focused on the negative points because I rated this book 2 stars, because for me the negative was more than the positive in this case. But I really hope that if you read it and enjoyed it, you will be able to tell me some things that you loved. And maybe please tell me that the third one is better, because I own it, I have to read it, and finger crossed it's not horrible. I would hate to have one decent book and 2 horrible books and to give away the box. So yeah, this is it. I swear you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye! Ciao!